Look around you. Your phone, your house, your paycheck, your savings, your retirement. All of it depends on one fragile thing. Not gold, not oil, not weapons. Trust. Specifically, trust in the US dollar. Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if that trust has an expiration date? Not tomorrow, not next year, but one that history says always arrives, because every reserve currency in human history has collapsed. Not because the nation disappeared, not because armies failed, but because money itself stopped being believed. And here's the part no one tells you. Reserve currencies don't collapse in chaos. They collapse while life still looks normal. Stores are open, markets are trading, people are working, everything seems fine until it is. Tonight we're not talking about politics. We're not predicting doom. We're exposing a pattern that has destroyed every financial empire before America. And if history is honest, the dollar is not special. It is simply next in line. Part 1. What a reserve currency really is. A reserve currency isn't just the world's most used money. It is the currency that central banks hold. International contracts are priced in, commodities are traded in, and global debt is settled with. When a nation controls the reserve currency, it gains extraordinary power. It can borrow cheaply, print money without immediate consequences, fund wars without raising taxes, and live beyond its production. In other words, the reserve currency allows a nation to consume more than it produces and delay the bill. That's not a flaw, that's the design. But this privilege comes with a hidden cost. It removes discipline. And when discipline disappears, history begins to repeat. Part 2. The first financial superpower. Spain. In the 1500s, Spain controlled the world's most powerful currency. Gold and silver from the New World flooded into Europe. Spain became unimaginably rich almost overnight. They funded wars, built palaces, dominated global trade, but something strange happened. The more gold Spain acquired, the weaker its economy became. Why? Because easy money replaced productive work. Instead of investing in manufacturing or innovation, Spain imported everything, borrowed endlessly, lived on future promises. Inflation exploded. Debts grew. Confidence faded. Eventually, Spain defaulted, not once, not twice, but multiple times. The world lost trust, and just like that, the first global reserve empire collapsed, not militarily, but financially. Part 3. The Dutch and the trap of success. Next came the Netherlands. In the 1600s, Dutch currency became the backbone of global trade. They invented modern banking, stock exchanges, global finance. The Dutch were brilliant, but brilliance created comfort. They began lending more than producing, speculating more than building, consuming more than creating. And as financialization replaced real economic growth, trust quietly shifted elsewhere. The currency didn't collapse in a dramatic crash, it faded, and the reserve status moved on. Part 4. Britain, the empire that printed too long. Then came Britain. The British pound ruled the world for over a century. It financed the Industrial Revolution, the largest empire in history, global shipping and trade for decades. The pound was as good as gold. But maintaining an empire is expensive. Wars piled up, debts grew, gold reserves shrank. So Britain did what every reserve power eventually does. They suspended gold backing, they printed more, they borrowed harder. World War I broke the system. World War II ended it. Britain didn't collapse overnight, but its currency lost its throne. And the crown passed to Part 5. The dollar takes the stage. After World War II, America emerged as the world's industrial engine. The US dollar became the world's reserve currency under the Bretton Woods system. The dollar was backed by gold, and every other currency was backed by the dollar. It was the most stable monetary system ever built. For a time, but wars returned, spending grew. And in 1971, the US quietly ended gold convertibility. From that moment on, the dollar was backed by trust alone, and trust is fragile. Part 6. The petrodollar and the illusion of permanence. After leaving gold, America did something brilliant. It tied the dollar to oil. Every nation needed dollars to buy energy. This created artificial global demand, and it worked for decades. But here's the pattern. Reserve currencies don't die when demand disappears. They die when discipline disappears, and discipline has been quietly eroding. Part 7. Debt. The silent destroyer. In 1971, U.S. national debt was under $400 billion. Today, over $36 trillion, and that number grows every minute. Debt itself isn't evil, but unlimited debt is a warning sign, not to collapse, but of declining monetary credibility. When money becomes infinite, value becomes optional, and trust begins to weaken. Part 8. Money printing. From tool to policy. Quantitative easing was once emergency policy. Now it's normal. Trillions were created in 2008, 2020, and beyond. Markets recovered. But something else followed: inflation, asset bubbles, wealth inequality, a shrinking middle class, not collapse but distortion, which is always the stage before collapse. Part 9. The real pattern. Psychology. Currencies don't die when numbers fail. They die when people stop believing. When savers feel punished, workers feel behind, investors seek alternatives, nations diversify reserves. That's not collapse. That's erosion. And erosion is how every reserve currency truly dies. Part 10. Is the dollar different? America is powerful, innovative, still dominant, but so was every empire right before decline. The question isn't, will the dollar collapse tomorrow? The real question is, can a nation print endlessly, borrow infinitely, and remain trusted forever? History's answer has always been no. Part 11. What comes next? No one knows the exact future, but patterns suggest multipolar currencies, gold returning, digital alternatives, reduced dollar dominance, not collapse, but transition. And transitions are rarely comfortable. Part 12. The final warning. Reserve currencies don't fall in explosions. They fall in slow motion while people are busy living, working, scrolling, assuming stability is permanent, but nothing in history ever was. Not Rome, not Britain, not Spain, and not the dollar. FINALY. Why this matters to you? Because when a reserve currency shifts, it changes. Wealth, power, standards of living, global order, and those who understand the pattern early are never surprised by history. If you want to understand the patterns shaping America's future, subscribe to the American Pattern. Because history isn't behind us, it's happening again.